Hi, good afternoon, everybody. After a great session by Mr. Kamli, and I was fascinated to hear from him that the keynote address, what he has provided to us, especially from when you hear from the government, it becomes more visible and more you get in line with what the CIO folks are doing around the world. First of all, welcome. We have Saloni Malhotra, we have Srish Godbole, and we have Ram Prakash. So far, I can see three of you. So hi to all of you.
Hello.
So good afternoon. So before I start, I have a quick, maybe a little bit of ice-breaking session if we have to all of us. Hope I'm audible, right, Pooja?
Yes, you are.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So I think if we talk anything about pandemic, COVID-19, it will become very cliched. People will log out immediately because it is too much of talk between the CIO, CXO, and more than CIO, CXO, I think it's a boardroom talk now. People, because we'll be very soon we'll be celebrating lockdown 1.0 first year. So I think that will be pretty cliched if I ask you what you did during this initial days of lockdown and all this stuff. So just a quick introductions. I am Mrinal Chakraborty from DTDC. I head IT and business process automation at DTDC plus innovations. We have now Mr. Abhay Bhapna also. So I'll request starting with Saloni, if you kindly, the panelist, if you kindly introduce yourself, give us a quick background, who you are and what you do, and a quick brief intro would be great to start with.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mrinal. Thank you so much for having me over on this panel as well. My name is Saloni. I represent Paytm All-in-One Payments today. I've been at Paytm for about 5 years now in multiple roles, and my primary function is to bring very exciting projects and ideas together in the market and within Paytm. I will, go with you as with the flow as with the speakers and try and respond my best to the CIO questions. But I definitely have a little bit more perspective than just the CIO bit from Paytm.
Thank you so much, Saloni. Welcome. Can we hear from you, Mr. Ram Prakash, if you don't mind?
Perfect. Thank you, Mrinal. So I'm Ram Prakash, and I work for ManageEngine, a division of Zoho Corp. So I'm the director of AI research at ManageEngine, and I lead the AI effort. So I've been with Zoho and ManageEngine for close to a decade, just shy of 10 years. And we built the AI platform there from scratch, where we primarily cater to IT security, IT monitoring, service delivery, and anything related to IT admin. So I've been building AI for IT. I would like to bring my my experience to this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ram Prakash. Thanks for being there. Can you hear from Mr. Srish Godbole?
Yes,
you have an exclusive career. I have read the document and gone through your LinkedIn profile.
I'm the least qualified people among the IT fraternity that we are talking to. So I started in manufacturing for first 20 years and then switched to IT and have remained with IT in manufacturing and headed various functions before. But after coming to IT, I headed IT function for Cummins and then Tata Autocomp and then Suzlon and Sanvion in Germany, and retired. And currently I'm working as a CIO and a strategy advisor for Tata Autocomp. So I don't have that kind of IT experience and background as much as you have, but 15 years, 20 years in IT and 25 years in manufacturing is 20 years in manufacturing is a blend that I thought was right.
Fascinating. Let's forget IT for the time being. Let's hear out your journey and your advices to the fellow folks. So we'll come back to you, sir.
Sure.
Can you speak to Mr. Abhay? Mr. Abhay, you are there, right?
Yeah.
Will you mind to switch on your camera if it's possible?
1 second.
Hi, Abhay.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
A quick intro from your side, it will be great.
Yeah.
Sorry, you are not audible. You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. I am in the technology industries for last 25 years and right now working for automations and digitizations of different areas, specifically in manufacturing, in logistic, in planning and optimization. These are the key focus area where I feel there is a huge scope, in the sense that the data is generated by the system, and then you can go for the analytics component, because huge data and huge scope to use analytics, AI or ML or anything, or even basic thing which is called statistics or predictive maintenance, predictions. So that is what I am right now doing it.
Excellent, Mr. Abhay. Thank you so much. So generally, any such kind of sessions has some questions. So I also have a questions. So honest to the audience, but please feel free, since we are 4 of us, and there's supposed to be around 8 people. But feel free to step in, stop me, and if you want to just give a little bit of more insights, some practical experience. I think the August gathering and who are hearing us, though we don't know who are there, but I'm sure that they will be benefited. To start with, Saloni, digital disruptions was a pretty common word last 3 years, even pre-pandemic. Everybody just talk about digital, you are getting disrupted. And when we
I think we lost Mrinal, right?
Yeah, we lost him. He would be back.
Mrinal, can you hear us?
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, we lost you. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. I couldn't hear your question.
I was not audible in between?
No, you froze in between.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, I have not started the question yet. I'm just trying to create the framework. So digital disruptions, if I'm not audible, please let me know at any point of time. I'll just raise your hand. Digital disruption was a pretty, last 3 years we are hearing on multiple facets, on multiple areas. But truly, if I see that when Ubers or Ola of the world, or the came, or the Zomato came, truly we have seen that digital disruptions happened. We have never evaluated or even imagined that a taxi can be through a phone, or a food can be ordered through a phone. So we are quite getting habituated with digital disruptions. My first question will be to Saloni, that during this pandemic, sorry, the music is on. Yeah.
I think Abhay needs to go on mute.
Monday ka likh do na.
Mr. Abhay, kindly mute yourself. Oh, thank you so much. So, but during pandemic, we have seen this is becoming a real boon for the CIOs, especially the digital leaders. It came all the way when you have to go for the work from home or various other facilities, or giving access to the core IT network who are working from the home. So, Saloni, what is your experience in Paytm during this last 9 months? How you have seen, because Paytm already disrupted the industry.
Sure.
So, but does COVID really helped in the further the disruptions to have a greater values or greater customer acquisitions? If you kindly give us a little more enlightenment on.
Sure. Thank you so much. I think COVID was a very interesting time period for us from multiple points of view. So I'll take 2 audiences and keep my conversation in mind, right? So the first audience that you mentioned was, the CIOs had to take care of their own staff, their employees. Like suddenly the whole organization was disrupted, and you needed to make sure that, everybody was working from home and there was safety and security of data at all levels. For us, we had a huge focus on our merchant side as well. So we currently power about 17 million merchants across the country who use something or the other from our tech stack, and they collect payments using Paytm. What we saw was that since there was almost like a complete lockdown in so many different places, we got requests from multiple offline players who wanted to go online and who had they just didn't understand what it meant going online also in some cases. Right, but they knew that for their own survival, they had to, tighten their boots, and they needed to go online. most of these guys were people who merchants were who people who didn't have a good IT infrastructure in some places. In some cases, they had a fabulous IT infrastructure. And in that, we saw two pieces again. We saw people wanting to collect money online more easily, and people trying to pay more easily online as well. So, I mean, I'll give you a small example. This year on Diwali, obviously, none of the organizations could give Diwali gifts. And I never think that, I mean, one would never think that the IT team would be involved in Diwali gifts at all, right? But we have a wonderful product called Paytm Payouts, where you upload one Excel sheet with all the information, and within seconds, all your employees got the Diwali gift. We gave a digital gold this year at Paytm for Diwali gifts, and it was a completely IT solution. Now, that is something that we would have not thought of in a non-COVID time at all. So, like you mentioned, the Uber and the Zomatos, you ordered food. This year, Diwali gift was digital gold, not physical gold for us, right? And we saw that we used a lot more IT in a very safe and secure way for multiple things, right? So for our merchants, taking them online very quickly within hours and within minutes, taking them online, to ensuring that our employees feel connected through this entire process, including on festivals. Everything was related and connected to IT.
Excellent. I think the digital gold, I have never heard of it, but I'm writing it down. But it's a great concept.
Sure.
So because Diwali is coming, we may plan for something like that.
Absolutely.
Holi is coming, not Diwali. Holi is too far. Holi is coming. Definitely, I definitely would go and propose to the management. Something can be really organized for that. It's a great concept. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing. I'll request all of you to share such insights, which is practical, which you have done personally, have witnessed. It will be really great for us. So over to Mr. Ramprakash, if you kindly give us little insights, how during this last 9, 10, 11 months, digital initiative, digital disruptions has scaled within your organization.
Perfect. I think we heard a good Paytm story, and in general, how the pandemic has been affecting, especially from IT. Things took a little difficult. It took a little longer to settle down. For example, especially with AI into play, AI is something that looks at your recent past and then gives out predictions, right? So apparently, when the pandemic was looming, when it was in the endemic stage, lockdowns were announced and people were hoarding things. So there were AI systems that went wrong and said it's a DDoS attack. There was a supermarket in London who was using a network monitoring solution. And apparently, it was just people were trying to hoard. It didn't really understand why 6 months of traffic is coming through in a week. And it started blocking genuine requests. So we had to really rethink the way AI works, because AI is just looking at your past data. There's absolutely no pandemic data that your model has been modeled on, and it gave false information. At the same time, coming to IT, given how we discussed excellently about how data is no longer under the clutches of your network or under the clutches of your device, you can access it anywhere from any device, from any network. Now, and then there was also a tectonic shift of work from home, where like your usual VPN configuration would have been like 80% of traffic coming through office and 20% working from home. But now it is like 98% coming through home. And so you had to rapidly scale up your backbone infrastructure to make sure all of your development processes or all of your back end offices are functioning very well. And not just Ola, Swiggy, Zomato, even the traditional banks, even the government-owned banks, they have started doing eKYC, where they do contactless loan approvals. Now, all of it goes digital. The major risk component of your business comes under IT. So this was a good digital transformation, and especially in countries like India. So previously, if we were selling a CRM in, let's say, in a developed economy, we just go tell them what the benefits of the CRM, of our CRM are. But in a country like India, we have to go educate them on why the business needs a CRM, and then why you need to take it digital. Now, this pandemic has accelerated that adoption. There are a lot of digital first, digital only stores, And all of the experience, previously your experience was a clean showroom, hospitable staff and things like that. But now all of it is about how well your website responds or how well your app responds. And I don't want to go transact in a website where my transaction is stuck midway or it fails. So there's a huge reputational cost to it. So this pandemic has just reinforced the need for IT to become modern, and IT is no longer the back office. It has come to the forefront and it is a very critical part of your business. That would be my point.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the great insights. If I request Mr. Srish, if you kindly, based on your vast experience, yet last 9 months was, for everybody it was different. We have never experienced such in our lifetime. And we hope so that we should not expect to see that. So any insights from the top of this organizations?
Yeah, I think most of the things which are considered in IT world as hygiene factors, always manufacturing IT struggle to get those across. And like, for example, work from home, if we had talked about the technological solution which permits people to work from home, it was very difficult to have been accepted, at least in India, in most of the manufacturing companies. And if I had shouted from the Eiffel Tower saying that this is what the Teams, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever, it would not have got the listening that got now. So now everybody is on practically Teams. The first task that IT had to do was to teach the board members how to use this technology. Now you can imagine that the board meetings started happening with this, and never imagined that way, that you are having board members who are 60 plus, a managing director who is also 60 plus, and now they are going to be sitting at their homes and conducting the board meetings. And I'm the one who is going to teach each one of them individually to make sure that they will be comfortable in the board meetings. And I also participated in first few. So that was one thing that got enabled. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So it would have been very difficult, and the pandemic helped us get there. And that was one part. The second part was introduction of artificial intelligence and machine learnings. And that also got impetus during this period because we also wanted to have those contactless attendance systems and contactless, social distancing norms where we put a camera and then identified who are the people who are getting close to each other, and then we had SMS or alerts that you are getting close to each other in the machine shops. That would never have happened if we were not gotten into this situation. So that way, IT got a boost in this kind of a manufacturing setup. Now it's not as, our setup is not as you have it in Paytm or you have it in ManageEngine, that the whole business depends on IT. This is IT, yours is IT driven businesses, whereas manufacturing is IT enabled or IT supported business, because manufacturing existed. I mean, Tata Motors existed even before before IT came into being. So in that, we have got a really good boost in terms of budgets, in terms of acceptance of the technology. And moreover, many things which were not thought before now are coming to a possibility that we are planning to roll out in North America, the ERP, which is only supported by Indian team implementation. So implementation, I have never heard of getting done without anybody visiting that country. This may be happening for the first time. And that was possible only through this technology adoption that we did. So there are many things, pluses that pandemic helped us, at least helped IT divisions of all the manufacturing companies to get some attention that they deserved.
Excellent. I think so inspiring stories. Even for us also, we never thought that we have not met people, though we are coming to office for last 4 months. But during this May, June, July, August, we deployed and countrywide SAP billing and invoicing systems without meeting each other. Right. I never could imagine that without meeting my consulting team, development team, SAP team, we could go live. And in 4 months' time, rather, I must say that without meeting anybody, we produce better results. Because there is no tea, coffee break, there is no smoke break, there is no whisper campaign here and there. So everybody was agile, active, and we rolled out. Great story, sir. Thank you so much. Over to Mr. Abhay. Can you hear us? Kindly unmute yourself, sir. Okay.
Yes.
Would will you mind to give us some glimpses of your part of the story, how it happened last 9 months during this digital disruption and initiatives? Sir?
So like when the disruption started, like, everybody was like initially couple of days or weeks, we were like, all worried in the sense how we will handle, how people will work from offsite, that is work from home. Do we have the right technology or collaboration tools in place or not? That was the first thing. So that's when we already had teams which helped us to communicate better across. Then there are challenges of demand, supply, all those things where there suddenly one type of businesses stopped, like, users stopped buying because from the, it was a sudden buying of essential commodities. So things were different at the initial stage, but gradually we moved on. And what came into picture was like, if we had analytics, if we had a right dashboard, if we had a real-time information for better decision making. So that's when we were working on those things, but at a smaller level or at the pilot level. Say for our case, the main concern is manufacturing. So the output, production, output, predictive maintenance, these are the things which you depend on multiple. If the machine is down, you depend on multiple people to solve the problem actually. So we started some pilot on that. So predictive maintenance was the first thing which we did, and then we realized that the user themselves are now saying that this is the thing, because any predictive maintenance or anything you do, it involves multiple technology, multiple expertise is also required, in the sense that the domain expertise to handle that particular machine is also needed. Why that machine is failing or what are the things. So those are the things which we were able to do during that period. Then we focus more on the adaptation component of the dashboards which we have developed, which like, gradually earlier people think that dashboard is just a output which is there, but like, what we need now to understand is you have to get insights from those data. I can give you Excel output and make it as a pivot, but what is required is alerts, output, exceptions on which a particular person or anybody needs to act. Like, if my role is buyer, I should get the information. These are the exceptions which I have to handle today, which are based on some predictive analytics or some algorithms. Okay. So we focused on first is predictive maintenance, operational efficiency of the plant. And the third one is logistic cost component, which is high cost for us. That's where how do I reduce my cost of buying a freight. And this is based on the historical data which we gathered over 2 years period. That also is helping because the business is expanding. So at the both ends, the technology is helping in you to adaptation is one component which people have now started demanding. Okay, we need something which is mobile based, which is click and like, approval becomes very simple. SAP is now mobile based. Exactly. So these are the things which are changing right now. Now the next step is coming in. Now it's very tough to prepare reports and all this. You have to start giving us exceptions, so alerts, warnings. Those are the things which is now the business has started demanding. That is what is happening as if from reverse point of view. And that from top to bottom, everybody is now thinking of digitization is one component. Automation is, you call it automation, digitization, but end-to-end paperless office, that is what is the main thing which needs to be done. And that's where we are focusing and working on that actually. Apart from security and other parameter or peripheral things which we have to assume that it is by default there and we have to get it done actually. So more focus is on enabling business for better decision making, better insights, so that they can fight the market. Actually, they will be there in the market. That is how we.
Excellent. I think great insights. Taking the cue from there. Today, actually, board is talking more about cloud, more about going mobile. They are actually ahead of any of the CIO folks. What I'm hearing from the other CIO friends, which was not there earlier. Earlier, a status quo maintained was a big task for us. That whatever is continuing. So I am just requesting Saloni, they are from the new age player. So do you see that there are changes happen due to this pandemic and digital disruption during this period at board level, and you are getting more insights, more money for investment, or more push for the digital initiatives? Money is a very strange component, but I let me hear it out from Saloni.
Sure. Thank you so much. I can hear you, but your video is frozen. So I think there is some issue on the internet at your end. So I think we are very, I would say, we are digital first in everything. We
Yes.
don't think otherwise, right? For us to pick up a paper is very difficult and it's very hard. We need a lot more effort to do that. And what we have sort of done is package most of our products to be very accessible on the mobile. Now, what's happened in the last 1 year is that we suddenly saw the need for a lot more products. And because our teams are so agile, we started rolling out in a matter of literally every month during the pandemic, we rolled out new products that could be used very easily. If you've noticed that, if you've gone to a restaurant more recently in the last few months, restaurants don't have menu cards. They have, you can scan and you can open
Yes.
you can open the menu card. So we rolled out that as a product, right? We saw that just from payments there were a lot of other smaller tangential products that were very relevant in the market. Suddenly we saw not only B2C companies coming to us, which was our primary audience pre-COVID, but with the Paytm Payment Bank and our other products from the bank, we are seeing, like, my colleague here, Ram Prakash, just mentioned the video KYC. We saw products like that becoming very popular with manufacturing setups. We saw it didn't matter whether you were an ITS company, you were a manufacturing setup, you were a small business. We saw a lot of those people coming to pick our products. So at the board level, what we've seen is just a better allocation for newer products that the market
Yes.
really desires. That is what we're seeing. There is a great hunger and drive at the board level to ensure that we are, as Paytm, we are no longer just the Paytm app now. We are a SDK that can help you in any aspect of your business that you do. Accounts payable, accounts receivable, you have an IT product, like for example our colleagues here at Zoho and Shopify, they have fabulous products that need much more reach and digital distribution in the country. So we have something called Paytm mini apps, where you can plug in and the app itself opens inside the Paytm app and people can sign up, right? Because
Right.
everybody is not going to have 50 apps on their phone. They will only have 5 apps that they open on a daily basis. And Paytm has become that app that you'll open on a daily basis. So if you want to distribute your products faster, you can come to Paytm mini apps and you can distribute faster. So these are the kind of initiatives that our board has sort of identified, which really accelerate the journey of every business in India, small or big, where Paytm can be integrated inside their core and make sure that we also provide them the same speed that we enjoy and we love.
I think once again, other than the Paytm Gold, another excellent insight you have provided, Saloni. So I will definitely personally come back to you, because we need some solutions around that, and I'll definitely request you to get me connected with some people there. So I'll get you connected. I think great insights over there. I'm sorry for some video disruptions over here. I don't know, today suddenly some network issue fluctuations. So pardon me for continuing this way, whatever way we're making it. Let me come to Mr. Ram Prakash. I know that it's again a digital first journey for all of you, but do you see that more emphasis on digital initiative from the top?
Perfect, Mr. Pranal. So like colleague Saloni said, we have always been very digital first. For example, ever since I think somewhere around 2016-17, we have been receiving our Diwali gifts via Paytm. So and the audience we target to, let's say the IT department is whom we cater to. The IT department again is always very digital first. So we sell our IT products to IT admins and CIOs, and so they have always been digital first. But there is one interesting change I have observed in the last 18-19 months. I mean, in the last 8-9 months, given how IT has become crucial. So traditionally, people used to buy IT products for compliance reasons, and they just wanted to be there. They just go with the fixed fixed rules, fixed thresholds that the product comes with. For example, the product would come with something like out of the box configuration, which would say if number of failed logins goes beyond 10 per minute, or you get it right, 10 failed logins per minute, then throw me an alert. This is how it used to be, and then alerts keep on coming, and people never really look into it. It is there for a compliance purpose. But now what is happening is I see a lot of people getting in and using and exploring most of the features in the IT suite, because like enterprise software is mostly complex, right? So now usually I see consumer world catching up to some new technology, and then enterprise having the late mover advantage and coming in. For example, 5 years back, we didn't have a lot of enterprise mobile apps. The same way, all enterprise apps have been redesigned to be easier. There's the idea of UI UX coming into something as old as service delivery. If you look at service delivery, you will have like 100 odd buttons there. You need to know which one to click. You need to know which one to run a workflow. But now we have been minimizing and making it very easy for the user to onboard and then use it on a day-to-day basis very effectively ever since over the last 2-3 years. But now this trend has accelerated. We've got very sleek mobile apps. We've got more people using 80% of the tools. Usually it is only 20% of the usage, but now people are using 80% of the tools. And with AI coming in, there we also see a shift from a deterministic perspective to a probabilistic perspective. So let me explain that. So traditionally, when you have a monitoring system and you're monitoring a website or an app, and you will have written rules where if the website is about to, if your site is about to go down, then do all of these. There will be a workflow. There is a team that responds to the workflow, or there'll be multiple teams responding to the workflow. But now with the AI coming in, there's a probabilistic element that is coming in. AI would say, I see a 60% chance of this system going down in the next 1 hour. Now, how do you react? I see a 90% chance of this system going down, then you probably need to intimate your social media team. You need to intimate your CEO. When there's a 70% chance, you just intimate the CEO, just don't alert your customers. When there's a 60% chance, it needs to get escalated to your CEO or the CIO, but you just have your teams, pull your teams together and find out the root cause. Who was responsible for this? Was it the engineering team? Was it the network team? And then identify and fix that. So things are being changed in the way that they are adaptive or open to the more modern and new features in IT. And the CIOs are driving a change where a probabilistic workflow mechanism has come into IT teams. So that is one big trend I see that has changed.
Excellent. Thank you for the great insights once again. Mr. Girish, Mr. Srish.
We have not observed that kind of growth or that kind of push for digitization just because of the pandemic, because it started a bit earlier than pandemic and it slowed down in pandemic because at the end of it, unless you produce something and if you to sell, you have no money to pay to for this innovation and things. Whereas if you take PTM, which is an IT-driven business, or you take Manage Engines, which is IT business, we are not into that kind of business. But a good part that has happened over the last maybe few years was a push for digitization by board members of most of the manufacturing companies. Now, when it happened in the company that I'm serving right now, it happened about 2.5 years back that they started giving a digital drive. And now we are getting into everything digital first, getting into various digital projects, be it in AI, be it in you can say analytics. All these have been paved the way right from 2.5 years back. So it slowed down a bit because of non-availability of people at appropriate time, because we are not used to that kind of environment before.
Yes.
So I don't think that has helped. The pandemic has helped grow IT in that perspective. But as far as technology adoption is concerned, yes, this is something which people have now gotten used to. And all the meetings that we have with managing directors, CFO, and chairman, those happen on digital platforms. There is no other way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Mr. Abhay. Mr. Abhay, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yes. So any insights that, is it become a more top-driven, more push from the top to make a digital initiative further?
Yeah, so that is the one component which top management also realize, and that is where basically what is important is customer, production, efficiency, and those kind of things. And that is where the top management also understand that if they have data, if they have insights, then they can take better decision, because in as Ram Prakash said that before, no prediction model will work right now, because in the epidemic, normally in the US or in Indian environment, US, when is the 4th July, when is Christmas, when is everything, except there's a small major component of the COVID case. But in Indian case, each state, each zone has a different behavior, different pattern, in the sense that the holidays are different, festivals are different. If the marriages are in the north, but might not be in the same period south also. So these are the one which directly impacts the consumer behavior of that particular region actually. So we have seen that, and now it is the pressure from the top management to deliver, to give insights, to give the predictions, to give better decision-making tools, which we already started 3-4 years back, starting with the S4HANA journey and other tools or technology is just an enabler, but educating everybody is another thing which I'm finding it a regular activity. Change management is, of course, it is there. And the third table, like when it is very easy to say analytics, prediction, statistics, but we need to, earlier we were working with very small set of data, but now the data volume is unlimited actually. From that, you have to find insights and give it to manufacturing person or to sales and marketing. But that's where our role will help us better, and they will help each and every key management people also in the organization, or at the ground level also. That is realized now that yes, if my electricity cost goes up, then what are the parameters, what I have to monitor: electricity, water, gas, steam, whatever it is in the electricity side or the transportation side. So that's where we are focusing. That's where we have more real-time machine data to act and to help business.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Abhay. You kindly stay on this subject, because I'll just go reverse way now for our last questions. Just to break the monotony, any one or two advices to the fellow CIO and CXOs to make the rest of the year, kind of a big financial year coming. Everybody is looking at that as a big opportunity, and government also going big, and our vaccine story also becoming talk of the town in the various part of the world. So any one or two advices to the fellow friends, fellow CIO, CXOs, to make the life better?
One thing is, everybody is talking about cloud and analytics, but whatever you want to do, start simple, start in small way, where we should be able to do pilot in 6 to 10 weeks and show the result. Let the business own the solution and the results. They should feel the comfort in the solution which they are seeing, and ultimately our objective is to help them in reducing their stress and give them right input so they take better decisions actually. So start simple, don't complicate too many logics in the solution which you are building. Let the adaptation start and then keep on building. That's the simple way. Don't complicate.
Excellent. I think that's a very, very key point what you said, because we generally unnecessarily may complicate our life and bring various features. And as Ram Prakash said, that earlier 20% adoption become 80% adoptions, because you make it decluttered, you make it very simple and clear in perspective. Mr. Sresh.
So I think one of the suggestions I would have for fellow CIOs is stop using the IT language to the business leadership. They are not interested in knowing what is the server situation, storage situation, your firewalls. They're not interested in that. They're interested in knowing the business and knowing from you what kind of solutions you are able to provide to the business.
Absolutely.
One of the CIO fellow mates told me that getting the money from this CEO is like milking a bull. The point is that you start feeling it simply because you are not talking the language which he understands. And that I thought I carried that advantage with me because I came from a manufacturing background. So when I connected with people, I could connect it very, very easily, because one part I knew some part of manufacturing. The second was I also had this manufacturing background and had no IT knowledge. So that was both the things helped me a lot. And I did not let that advantage go by learning IT as I moved on. So that's something which is very important for any CIO for that matter. When he talks to business, he has to talk in business language. Even in analytics, that is what typical driving that we are driving at this point in time within the organization. Asking a person what you want is not a great idea. Giving him what he probably would need, and then giving him more and more as he starts asking, because other first create interest in him. Just if you ask him what you need, tell me, it doesn't help that way. And that was one of the advices that was given to me 15-20 years back when we visited several companies. That I think helped a lot. I have met many CIO folks who are more into, you can say, IT per se, and they are coming from an IT
Exactly.
background, and that is what restricts them from communicating to the leadership team as the language that they understand. And that is the most important point that I would make to all the IT colleagues that we have here.
Excellent. Actually, that is the biggest deterrent not to get a CIO into a boardroom. That's the biggest deterrent. They don't take us. They don't take such people who just comes with us, as Mr. Abhay said, that what server, what CPU, what memory, what data center, and they get bogged down with the vendor, that circle between the vendor, products, and solutions. They get stuck in there.
I think
and it's very difficult.
Most important point that you made, that you don't find them into boardrooms. And I was fortunate enough to have shared the boardroom with Mr. Even Ratan Tata.
Yes.
So that helps, because once they start seeing you as a business person and not an IT person, they involve you in most of the business decision making, and they start expecting the solutions from you using IT as the backbone. So they're not interested in what kind of solution you are bringing in, but they find that this efficiency goes up with it. They are able to find out what they took years to find out on the desktop or laptop or the iPad or phone, and that is what they are interested in.
Absolutely. So nice. Great advice. So over to Mr. Ramprakash. Your 2 pennies.
Okay, 2 points would be, one is to embrace newer technologies, but like what Mr. Abhay said, keep it very simple. Don't go with the hype. Just don't do AI just because everybody is doing it. See how it could help your business. And if you're apprehensive of doing it in your core business, let's say you are a bank and you want to do it in your lending, probably start off very simple. Start it off in your recruitment portal. Start it off in your customer support. So start small, keep things simple. That's point number 1. Point number 2, you cannot afford to make an IT mistake in this time and day, right? Any data leak or data loss or privacy violation, I'm sure it is going to hit you very hard. And a lot of us ask this question, how not to be Amazoned, right? So all of us run the risk of being Amazoned. So one way is to stay ahead in the IT curve, embrace IT along with your own line of products. So, but at the same time, keep it simple. That would be my couple points.
Excellent advice. Actually, during this pandemic, we see that people have started using too much of the digital bandwagon for promoting their products. We all must recall that invites the troublemakers also, because you become limelight. The moment you are becoming in the Google search engine number 1, they know that you are an influencer. So they come to you to find out who you are and can I exploit you. I'm seeing that very, very extensively. I think great advice. I think lying low little is a very critical point of time. Lying low, okay, but beyond the basics. I think that's a great points. So over to Saloni.
Thank you. I think I mean, my colleagues have already, given some great insights. And I also come from a little bit of a sales background. So I'm just going to say that the CIOs can actually bank on, Paytm to really take magical products to different people in the organization. We have magical products for the CTO. We have magical products for the CHROs and the CFOs. And all of these products, like we have used them internally, scaled them extensively before we've got it out in the market. And like you mentioned that you become like a bait. We have experienced being the bait many times as well and fought that.
Correct.
Our name is misused more often than not in the market by several people. And we understand that pain. We understand, cybersecurity more than anyone else does today, because we're in the business of financial transaction, all digital financial transaction. So we bring that security, safety, and the magical experience all in one small bundle that you can take to anyone else in the organization to make your your experience in whatever format you decide to make that experience very seamless and magical for your end customer.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I for sure, I'll definitely come to you in next 2 hours of time, because I'd like to really know more of this. And
I'm really glad.
Yeah, actually, to be very frank with you, we are the first organization because we're the largest franchisor. We have 12,000 franchisees. We are the first company who brought a digital wallet. So today, our entire franchisee systems, last 2 years, it is not during the pandemic, before pandemic. We got the Singapore government award also for that, by bringing that thing. Earlier days, people used to queue in our offices. Today, everything is they do it digitally. They pay, they buy, they do entire brokerage digitally. And I'm sure I'll come back to you very, very quickly, because today we are a little bit struggling because we build on our own, we're depending on a bank, the bank gets into trouble. So we want to write on somebody. I'll come back to you on this. I think great insights, ma'am. I really, really appreciate it. I think Mr. Ghosh has joined. I think he has joined a little late. Mr. Ghosh, if you don't mind, can you have onboarded for 2 minutes?
Mr. Ghosh is actually scheduled for the next session, Mr. Mrinal.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So over to Pooja. I think we have done our duties quite well. Thanks to the all audience. Great insights, and I personally noted down a lot of points over here, and definitely that's a great learning session for me. And Mr. Srish, really inspired by your talk, by your thought and talk. We'll stay connected. Thank you, Mr. Abhay. And thank you, Ram Prakash. Really appreciate all the insights. Thank you, Pooja. Over to you all.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrinal, and all the esteemed panelists. The floor is open for questions to all the panelists. And we actually have 2 questions already coming in from the audience. So the first question would be, what would be the key customer-facing initiatives in this digital transformation journey from each of your organization's perspectives? So the question is open to any of you all.
So let me start with that. I think we are just deploying a new CRM tool for our organization. Sorry, Ram Prakash, a little late to know you personally. We are just deploying a new CRM tool. We already felt that customer will come to us in a multiple way, through the social medias, through email, through website, through portal, through app. So we need to have an omni-channel experience for our customer. So we have taken a journey. I think it will take entire 2021 to stabilize that journey, but it's quite promising, and I'm sure that we'll be able to give customers a real omni-channel experience. Today customers struggle because they need to call a call center, they need to write a mail, they need to go to Twitter and do something. So a lot of things they do. We will try to bring them together in a single omni-channel. So that's the initiative we are taking on a customer experience journey. Over to Saloni, if you want to say.
I'd love to respond to that. So I think we look at our customers as any business that's trying to do their own business. That is our customer at the end of the day. And we've come out with products which help you go online and start collecting payments literally within the same day. You decide today that I want to start collecting payments. You come to us and we will enable you within 24 hours to start taking payments online. If you're a business that wants to pay other people, like Sir was mentioning, DTDC has so many different branches. We have a very simple, seamless dashboard where you can start doing those kind of payouts, very complex payouts and accounts payable process within minutes. So those are the kind of initiatives that we are taking to our customers to make their own lives easy. Everything related to payments and transactions that you want on the internet.
Excellent. Yes, any other query?
So we have another query which has come in. That is, how much should a business be involved in terms of security of its IT solutions?
Mr. Srish, you would like to take a shot at it, or Mr. Abhay? Mr. Srish, you are on mute.
If you look at the board meetings today, most of the board members would ask the question about what about the security of our data. So that has become very important as far as the internal audits are concerned or external audits are concerned, or if you look at all the certifications that you know that you have, the data security has become very important. That has been a talking point of the board at the board level, and that is a good sign. Now, some of it is hyped in my view, but that can be debated in the board meeting itself. But I would say that that has always been saying that if you are a jewelry shop or if you are pan ka thela, you cannot have the same security at both the places. And
Right.
and that is what typically one has to weigh what kind of businesses we are in against what kind of security we are going to put in. And like people like Microsoft or people like Google will have a huge security. Facebook will have a huge security because the products are being built on this, and they have a lot of IP residing there. So the security levels of those companies may not, we may not need those kind of securities where the drawings are given by the customer, the designs are given by the customer, and we are passing that on to the vendor partly by doing the process drawings. So I don't think that kind of this will matter. On the other side, if you are looking at analytics, that has posed a huge threat for the security, because earlier what the data was available in paper, now it is available in a digital format. You could be talking about any price from customer to other customer, and then you also have the costing sheets at the same time attached to the same dashboard. That is
Yes.
something which is a huge risk for the business, and that is where we have to be very careful to whom you pass it on, to whom you give the access to. So these kind of things are being discussed in security, typically in the application, but not in the infrastructure.
Mr. Abhay, if you want to say something on the...
So like we are focusing on both basically application and infrastructure security. Now, yes, so definitely, like, earlier we used to have paper based, but now it's more of a digital. So we are working on multiple initiatives to ensure that the data internal customer also are the one which are, in our case, it's more of an internal customer who are using our data. That's where we are focusing right now to improve and ensure that all the layers are secure from the data point of view. Of course, the hardware and all those laptop, those things are taken care, but more of a data right now we are working.
Excellent. I can just tell you that definitely it is no more a knee-jerk reaction, because as India moves takes a progress on the vaccinations, you will see more and more attack on the Indian institutions. We are absolutely almost all the pharmaceutical organization, already 2 of them are got attacked. All logistics companies, they're on the toe because they'll be attacked, because we have just on the tip of the iceberg, only 1.8 crore people only vaccinated, still 120 crores left. So there will be a huge effort on India to stay safe and take this journey forward. I think staying safe will be extremely important. And I request all of you, stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Saloni. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Suresh.